So, you like installing crazy stuff on your phone? Well, I have a treat for you. Welcome everybody, this is Siddharthik and you're watching PR Crew. Today I'm going to be showing you how to install a full Linux distribution on your Pocophone F1 with postmarketOS. For those of you who don't know what postmarketOS is, it is a full Linux distribution targeted towards mobile devices and is based on the lightweight Alpine Linux distro. While in this guide I install postmarketOS on the Pocophone F1, the procedure is quite similar for most supported devices. If you're using this video as a reference for another device, make sure to check your device's page on the postmarketOS wiki first. Before we begin, note that postmarketOS on the Pocophone F1 is quite stable at the moment, but it is still a work in progress, and as such some features are still in the works. Check the device's page in the postmarketOS wiki, which I have linked in the description, to see what is working and what is not. At the time of recording this video, several noteworthy omissions include the accelerometer, camera, Bluetooth, and radio modem, so you won't be able to make and receive calls. Without further ado, let us begin. First, make sure to back up all your files, and use a custom recovery like TWRP to back up your system, in case you decide you want to return to Android later. After that, we need to build postmarketOS for the Poco F1. To do this, we're going to need a Linux installation. Now you can either dual boot your computer, or more easily use a virtual machine. Windows Subsystem for Linux sadly won't do. I'm going to be taking the virtual machine route, so I'm going to download and install VirtualBox, and get the latest Xubuntu ISO to use as my Linux distribution. If you already have a Linux setup, feel free to skip ahead. Once you've installed VirtualBox and downloaded the Xubuntu ISO, open up VirtualBox and press the New button to create a new virtual machine. Enter a name, I'm going to call mine Xubuntu. Choose where you want your virtual machine to be stored and hit Next. Now select how much RAM you want to offer to your VM. I'm going to go with 6 GB even though you probably won't need any more than 2 to 4 GB. Next, select Create a virtual hard disk and select VDI. Next, you can choose if you want your virtual disk to be dynamic or fixed size. Choose whichever option you prefer. I chose fixed size and gave it 60 GB, but you won't need any more than 30. When that's done, right-click on the VM and open up its settings. Go to the storage panel and click on the empty disk controller, and then click on the CD icon and hit Choose, and select the Xubuntu ISO that you've downloaded. After that, go to the General tab and select how many CPU cores you want to give to the VM. When you're done, select the VM and hit the Start button. If the VM pops up, all is well. But if you get a message like this one, you need to reboot to your BIOS, enable the virtualization option in your CPU settings, and then start the VM again. So when you start the VM for the first time, you will need to install Xubuntu. So we're quickly going to go through the setup here, selecting all the applicable options and creating a new user with a password, and let Xubuntu install. In case you run into some trouble in this procedure, I will have a guide linked in the description on how to set up the VM. When the installation has been completed, the installer will prompt you to restart. While restarting, when it prompts you to remove the installation medium, just right-click on the CD icon on the bottom right and select Remove Disk from Virtual Drive and then hit Enter. Your VM will now reboot to Xubuntu. When you've booted into Xubuntu, log into your user account and change the display resolution from settings for your convenience. Then, open up the terminal from the Start menu or just use the Ctrl Alt and T keyboard shortcut. First order of business here is to type in the sudo apt update && sudo apt upgrade command to make sure we have the latest system updates. Hit enter and enter your password and confirm your choices by typing the capital Y and hitting enter if prompted to do so. We now need to check our Python version. Type in Python and hit enter, or if that doesn't work, type in Python 3. Make sure that your Python version is 3.6 or greater. Exit the Python shell using Ctrl-Z and hitting enter. Once you've done that, type in this command to install some of the tools that we will be needing. Enter your password and confirm by typing in capital Y and hitting enter when you're prompted. When this is done, type in pip3 install --user pmbootstrap and hit enter. This will install the pmbootstrap utility that we will be using to install postmarketOS. When the process finishes, type in source ~/.profile to reload the configuration, and then type in pmbootstrap init. Now we're going to configure our postmarketOS. First, hit enter to confirm the work path. When prompted, we will choose the latest Edge release. As you can see, it's already pre-selected in the brackets, so we can just hit enter to select it. When prompted for the vendor, type in Xiaomi in lowercase, and for the device codename Beryllium, which is our Pocophone F1. We're then going to confirm our choice for the Tianma kernel and use the proprietary GPU package. Next, enter the username you're going to use for postmarketOS. I'm going to type in Cedric. Then choose your user interface. I'm going to use Phosh, which is what the Librem 5 uses, but you're free to try any interface you like, even a full desktop interface like XFCE. Continuing with the installation, I will install no extra packages, confirm my time zone, select my locale, use the default host name, and choose to rebuild outdated packages. When you're done with this, type in pmbootstrap install and hit enter. Enter your Xubuntu sudo password if you're asked for it, and let it run. At some point, it will ask you to set a new password for the postmarketOS user and confirm it by hitting enter. If you selected the Phosh interface, like I did, make sure to only use numbers in your password, or else you won't be able to log into the system. Once this process is finished, we will flash postmarketOS onto the Pocophone F1. To do this, type in pmbootstrap flasher /rootfs and hit enter. At some point, you will see a message saying waiting for device. You will then reboot your Pocophone to fast boot mode by holding the power button and volume down button for about 10 seconds, and then connect your phone to your computer. Then, right-click on the USB icon on the down right corner in VirtualBox and select the phone from the list to connect it to the VM. When the device connects, the flashing will begin. Be patient at this point, the flashing process might take a while. When it's done, we also need to flash the kernel. To do this, just type pmbootstrap flasher /kernel and hit enter. The kernel will flash and you are now good to go. Just reboot your phone and you will boot into postmarketOS. And that was pretty much it. We got postmarketOS installed on the Pocophone F1. If you're interested in the Phosh environment, I will now be showing some footage of it running on the Poco. Let me know what you think of postmarketOS down in the comments. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up below and make sure to subscribe and hit that bell icon for more awesome videos. I'll see you in the next one.